Good morning, everyone. My name's Dustin. So today I have planned a morning mind right practice. It might be nice to have your blocks ready or even a blanket to prop up the hips at the end for a little mini meditation to, of course, get our mind right. So with that being said, let's find ourselves on the mat. Let's start in a nice, comfortable seat. You could sit back on the heels like me here, or you can sit cross-legged. Feel free to use any props. You can use your blanket to prop up the hips here or pad the bottoms of the feet. We just want to take a few moments to center in, to settle. Make yourself comfortable. Go ahead and inhale fully. Sigh it out. Exhale completely. Big full inhale. Exhale, let it go. Inhale fully. Exhale, let it go. Last one, biggest breath yet. Fill the lungs all the way up. Hold at the top. Maybe take in a little more air. Keep holding. And sigh everything out. Close down the eyes if you haven't already. And take a moment to let the breath return to normal. In and out through the nose. Take a moment to arrive here on the mat. Awesome work. Go ahead and walk the hands forward. We'll meet in a tabletop. So make a nice, stable base for yourself. Wrists under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Take the fingers wide, about as wide as they go. And on an inhale, drop the belly, open up through the heart space, cow pose. Exhale, round through the back, press the ground away, tuck chin to chest, cat pose. Inhale, arch through the back, open up through the chest. Exhale, round, press the ground away. Keep it going with your breath. Inhaling, the belly drops. Exhaling, we tuck in. Keep it going. If any gentle movement comes up, let it happen. It's okay to rock side to side, to shift back and forth. I tend to find a lot of movement in my practice, and it kind of depends on the day. Depends on how I'm feeling, how anxious I am, which has been very lately. So I'm needing this just as much as you, potentially. From here, tuck the toes a little bit and walk the hands back towards the knees. We'll work on our wrist and our foot stretch. Send the shoulders out over the wrists, stretching into the hands, the forearms, the wrists, and then send the hips back towards the heels with the toes tucked to stretch into the bottoms of the feet. Shift front to back. You can go as quickly or as slow as you'd like. You can pause up front, maybe rock side to side. You can pause on the way back. Maybe feel into the hips, side to side. A couple more breaths here. Awesome work. Go ahead and take the hands out long, keep the toes tucked, send the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Pedal through the feet here. Can bend into the knees generously, bringing belly towards the thighs. Relax the head and neck, ears between the upper arm bones. And what we want to do is firm into the pointer finger and thumb portion of the hand. That's where we want to carry a lot of the weight, and we want to grip the mat. So sticky mats are great, especially if we get sweaty, and especially because some mats are genuinely kind of slippery. But I also believe that with just a little texture, we can grip the floor or the mat enough so that we are not sliding. Continuing to pedal out your dog, maybe find stillness as we pause here for another breath. Big breath in, and maybe sigh it out. From here, gently step the right foot in between the hands, drop the left knee, rise up to a low lunge. Go ahead and bring hands right down to the tops of the thighs, square off the hips, and then work the hips forward and down. So we have some healthy compression in the right hip and some opening in this left hip. Another breath here. Maybe make your blocks handy. And on an exhale, straighten through the right leg. Find your half splits. So we maybe need to heel toe this front foot out like me so that we can keep the hips generally stacked over the knee. From here, maybe with a bent knee, reach the crown of the head long as we hinge forward with a flat back. From there, we can round through, and then you can straighten the leg to whatever degree is available to you today. We can still work to square off the hips. One more breath here. Awesome work. Go ahead and get rid of your blocks, or at least put them off to the side, and bring hands inside the right foot. We'll turn to face the side of the mat here and let the hips sink down for a side lunge. If you're really open in the hip, you can lift the left toes, find Skandasana. Otherwise, hands on the ground for support is totally okay. You can bring a block beneath the bum if you're low enough. And if all this is barely accessible, then be a little more upright, root through both feet, open up through this right hip, and then just sink down to a side lunge from here. We're still getting that opening in the left hip, the left groin, I should say, and the right hip. Find your variation. One more breath. And then we'll walk the hands over to the other side. Go ahead and set the right knee down. Rise up to a low lunge on this side. Hands come to the thigh. Square off the hips. Work the hips forward and down. On an exhale, straighten through the left leg. Maybe heel toe the foot out if you have long legs like me. And fold forward. Half splits. I did mention at the start of the video, but we'll have some more videos from this location. This is one of the clubs that I teach at. So we're coming to you live from the studio today. And it's pretty cool to shoot in here, I think. And I'm happy to bring some more flows that I teach to my public classes to you here on YouTube. Go ahead and plant the left foot, and we'll find our Skandasana or side lunge on the left side. So the hips open up. I don't know if you could hear that pop in my hip. Keep it safe here. Reach the crown of the head long so we're not collapsing so much in the upper body, and we're staying open. And it can help to use the ground for support. It's even nice to kind of use your right hand on this side, since we're going to the left, as a little support between the legs and under the bum. Then we can use the left to help us open up. Either way. One more breath here, and then walk the hands to middle. This time take the toes in, heels out, and hinge forward for a wide-legged forward fold. Breathe into the stretch here. Inhale, lift up halfway. Maybe make a block handy. And we'll reach the right arm up to the sky, twisting. Exhale, right hand finds the block or the ground beneath you. Inhale the left arm up. Once more each side. Exhale, hand finds the mat. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, right hand finds the mat. Inhale, left arm up. Release and rise up to standing. Pivot the heels in, toes out this time. Arms wide for goddess. Sinking the hips down. Go ahead and tuck the ribs here. Engage the core. Fully open up through the hips. Make sure this block isn't blocking your view. If the knees are caving in, open them up as much as you can so they're tracking the same as the midfoot, so the middle toes. And if that's as far as the hips can open up, then adjust the feet from there. Sink a little bit lower. Let's find some bounces here even. And then on an exhale, straighten through the legs, heel toe the feet in. Awesome work. Find a neutral mountain pose at the top of the mat. I'll keep facing you so you can see, but come to the top of the mat. Find your mountain pose. So maybe lift up the toes, set them back down wide, engage the glutes, open up through the chest, and breathe. Tadasana is a resting pose just like child's pose or anything that allows us to pause, to center back in. Awesome work. Now we'll put all that together. So from the top of the mat, inhale, reach the arms up. Maybe come onto the tippy toes. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, find a flat back, engage the core, step the right foot back. Right knee drops, rise up to your low lunge. On an exhale, hands come down, inside the foot, find your Skandasana, send it over to the other side, Skandasana on this side, and then drop left knee to the mat, rise up to low lunge. Exhale, hands frame the foot, step it back to a plank, and we'll pause in our plank pose. So pressing the ground away, engage the glutes, engage the core. Big inhale here. And on an exhale, lower knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhale, open up through the chest. Find your cobra and release. A few more of those. Inhale it up, cobra. Exhale, lower. Keep this oscillating cobra going with your breath. Awesome work. From here, hands come close to the ribs. And notice if your hands are too high and it's causing the elbow to wing out or to be in an unsafe position, and bring the hands back so that the forearm is straight vertical. And that's where we want to be pressing up from. So we'll all meet in downward dog, and you may go through tabletop, or you may engage the core, press up through a plank, bend the knees, send it back to down dog. However you get there is just fine. Firm into the hands when you do. Reach the hips up. And then soften into the knees, hop, step, or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Release it. And rise up to standing. Arms reach up. Exhale, sink the hips back and down. Chair pose. Engage the core. Take it a little bit lower if you can. Come up onto the balls of the feet if you can for a little extra challenge. 3 breaths here. Maybe sinking the hips even lower, engaging the core even more. And then on an exhale, straighten through the legs, hinge forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, open up through the heart space, reaching the crown of the head long, halfway lift. And step the left foot back. Knee drops, rise up to your low lunge. Exhale, hands come down inside the foot. Pivot, lift the left toes, or maybe find a side lunge that works for you. Inhale here, exhale, send it over to the other side. From here we pivot the right knee down to the mat, rise up, low lunge on this side. Exhale, hands frame the foot. We'll step it back to plank pose. Pausing here again in our plank. Notice if you're collapsing into the low back, and if that's happening, try to tuck the pelvis, engage the core, and really turn on the glutes. So yeah, that means squeeze your butt. And then we'll have the option here on our next exhale to lower knees, chest, chin, or shift shoulders out over the wrists, tuck the elbows back towards the body, and slowly lower to the mat. On an inhale, open up through the chest, find your cobra pose. And this time, instead of using the hands, you have the option to do some cobra lifts. So that might look like using the hands just a little bit as we use the strength of the upper body, or you can release the hands completely, lift the hands, and inhale. Use the back to rise up, look forward. Exhale, lower. Rise up, exhale, lower. Keep that going. Turn on the glutes again. Root the front of the hips. Last one, reach up. Maybe reach back towards the heels. Lift the legs for locust pose. Pausing here for a few breaths. You can be resting if you want, or you can be opening up through the shoulders. Shoulder blades roll back and down. Palms face the ground. I see this a lot, and the reason why palms face the ground is because then it opens up our shoulders and our chest. So lift up higher, and then release that. Shake out the hips. About 3 breaths here on the mat as a reward. Awesome work. So this time we'll press it up and find ourselves in a child's pose. Take the knees wide, send the hips back, arms long. Relax the forehead down on the mat. Walk the hands over to the right side. Left hand comes on top. And then keep pressing the hips back as we take a side stretch in our child's pose. So breathing into the left side body. Inhale over to the other side. Right hand comes on top. Awesome work. From here, we'll rise up through a tabletop, cross the ankles, and then roll back over the legs. From here, options to your high boat. So hands can be on the ground. You can lift the legs. Hands can be right on the backs of the hamstrings for support. And that's really nice because it helps us lift up tall through the crown of the head and keep integrity in the low back so we're not collapsing. And if you feel all good there, Go ahead and reach the arms long. So breathing here in our high boat. Don't worry, we'll get into some low boats too. So on an inhale, lower, find a banana shape, really doming through the core, and press the low back into the mat, low boat. Inhale here. Exhale, press back up to a high boat. Really root the hips, find a flat back. Inhale, lower. Exhale, rise. Inhale, lower. Exhale, rise. Inhale, low boat. Exhale, high boat. Last one. Inhale, low boat. We'll hold. And then hang with me here. On your next exhale, press the hips, rise back up to our high boat. Reach the crown of the head long. Awesome work. Feet find the mat. Take the feet about shoulder width, so a little wider than the hips, and then hands will come behind the bum. Hands can be out at 90 degrees, so fingers rather, at 90 degrees, or fingers can be facing the body. Really root into the hands, root into the feet, and on an inhale, lift the hips up and back for reverse tabletop. Reach the hips up as we press into the feet. If you are comfy here with your head in middle, that's an option. Another option is to relax the head back on the traps, if that works for you. Otherwise, breathing, turning on the glutes fully, and lifting up through the hips. Sometimes I don't even know how I'm talking through this. It's amazing what the body can do. Couple more breaths. You got this. And on an exhale, we'll sink the bum down towards the heels, bend into the elbows for a little last chest and shoulder bonus stretch. This can be gentle here, so take it easy. And then release that. Send the left leg long. Right sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh. Turn to face that left leg and then hinge forward over the leg. It's sometimes really nice to prop up the hips, especially if you find yourself rounding from the stretch here. What we want to do is have the hips high enough that we can lean out in front. And then from there, when we round, we're just relaxing the upper body over and we're not rounding in the low back. So especially if you feel that rounding, bend into the right or your left knee, fold forward. And over time, whether you're holding the pose longer or it's just a long term of your practice, as the body opens up, we can shimmy the hips back and straighten that leg. So taking the space that's given to you today and breathing into it. Inhale to rise back up slowly. This time we'll take, it would be your right leg across to the outside of the left, and then tuck the right foot back towards the bum. We'll twist open to the right. Right hand comes behind. Open up through the chest. Find yourself in a twist. So we're hugging the right leg with the left arm. Maybe looking out to the right or behind you. See if you can relax a little bit in the belly. As we inhale to grow tall through the spine, exhale to deepen into the twist. Release that. Roll forward. And this time send your right leg out long. Left sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh. Again, feel free to prop up the hips here. Turn to face that right leg. And then hinge over the leg, hinging from the hips. Feel free to bend the knee. I really do, even though I have the space, sometimes start with the knee bent, engage the core, reach the crown of the head long so I can focus on folding forward from hinging from the hips as opposed to just rounding. So the stretch comes from that hinge, not if we can get our head to our knee, despite this being head to knee pose. So breathing here. And if you're very open, as opposed to focusing on head to knee, which is cool if you want to, we can work our elbows down towards the mat. You can even use a block on the outside of the foot to help us reach long. Some of my students say this helps them hinge from the hips instead of rounding. It's also nice for a little more leverage. It's bigger than the foot, presumably. But if you're practicing with me Bigfoot, then I am very honored. Maybe we'll have to collaborate. Release that. Slowly rise up. I'm not sure I'm going to give any more dry jokes as we go. Take the right heel back towards the bum. Left foot crosses over the leg. Open up to the left, left hand behind. Hug the left leg with the right arm. Gaze behind you or out to the side. And again, our inhales help us grow tall through the spine, and our exhales allow us to relax or deepen into the twist. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about yoga, and one of the things you learn about your body that really does apply to life, is that in yoga, when we try to force a pose, we create tension. So we're sort of limiting our ability to sink into the pose. But by allowing time and space, that space is then given to us in the body. So I wonder what that means for our life and how we can take that off the mat. I don't have any answers. I just have questions. Sorry. From here, we'll take hands behind the hamstrings and slowly roll onto the back. Hug the knees to the chest. You can take some circles when you get there. Rock side to side, front to back, whatever feels good. Yeah, I'm still struggling with everything too. I'm just trying to lend a hand. Let's let both soles of the feet find the mat. Reach for the backs of the heels. So we want to be able to almost graze the heels with the fingertips. Open up through the chest so the backs of the shoulders and even the backs of the arms press into the ground. As we inhale, lift the hips up for bridge pose. Holding here for a few breaths. In our bridge, the hips track the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. The chest tracks the chin, and then the chin tracks the ceiling as well. So there's space between the chin and the chest. Continue to lift up with the hips by pressing into the mat more firmly with the feet. And then exhale, slowly release. Go ahead and cross the right ankle over top the left thigh for figure 4. You may stay right here, open up through the hip, especially if you have tightness in the psoas or side body. This can be enough. If you want to work on outer hip opening, go ahead and reach for the hamstring or the shin of the left leg, and then flex the right toes back towards the knee in our figure 4 stretch to keep the knee safe. Breathe here. Press the right elbow into the right knee as we open up through the right outer hip. 3 more breaths. Release. left foot to the mat. And then keep the right leg where it's at and drop the knees and the feet over towards the left side. Right arm reaches out long. So taking a little twist here. If you'd like to fully cross the right leg over the left, maybe shimmy the hips a bit to the right to keep a straight spine. That's an option too. And if all this is too much twisting, go ahead and unstack or untwist and just stack the knees like normal. Feel free to use a block here to make it a little more accessible. Find what works for you and then own that pose, which means really to just allow the pose to do the work. Slowing things down here as we head towards the end. One more breath. Inhale, roll onto the back body. Pause here in half Shavasana. Let the spine neutralize. And whenever you're ready, cross left ankle over the right thigh. Press into the left inner thigh to open up through the hip, and you may stay right here. Or you can flex those left toes back towards the knee to keep it safe, and then reach for the shin or the hamstring of the right leg as we pull the knee towards the chest. Figure 4 stretch. If you're here this long, I truly appreciate it. And feel free to add in the comments what you would like to see, because honestly, being this in the infancy of this channel, I'm still racking my brain of what to come up with for content. And if you're already here, then please let me know what you want, and I will legit make a video for that. Release that stretch, drop the legs over towards the right side. Again, option here to cross, left leg inside and over the right. Option here to stack. Take what suits you. Left arm reaches out long to its side, and head and neck can stay right in middle or follow out to the left. Breathe into the twist. Relax tension in the face. Relax tension in the stomach. And breathe. Inhale to roll up through middle. Go ahead and take happy baby here, or any final poses that you need in your practice. For happy baby, open up through the hips. Hands can come to the hamstrings, the outsides of the thighs. You can take hands inside the legs and reach for the outsides of the shins. Or if you're really open, you can find the outsides of the feet. Wherever you are, maybe straighten into one leg and then the other. Breathing here, opening up through the hips. And if you're really rounding, try to tilt the pelvis anteriorly, so down towards the mat, pressing the hips down. A couple more breaths here. Take what you need. And then finally, extend the legs long. Toes splay, open to the sides. Arms rest comfortably alongside the body. Shavasana, our final pose. Take a moment to make yourself comfortable. Maybe tuck the pelvis, maybe tuck the chin, maybe roll the shoulder blades back and down, whatever you need. Once you arrive, take a big full breath in. Exhale, let it all go. Sink into the mat. Close down the eyes. As the effects of today's practice soak into the body, let yourself be still. If the mind wanders, gently, kindly, bringing it back to the breath, bringing it back to the body. Shavasana is a great preparation for meditation. And you are free to stay right here on your back as we move towards our mini meditation. Otherwise, you can find yourself in a nice, comfortable seat. Take your time getting there. Do what's most comfortable to you and what's calling for you. Either way, we're relaxing down the eyes and we're bringing our awareness to the breath. How does the breath feel coming in and out through the nose? Perhaps cool air on the nostrils coming in. Perhaps warmer air on the way out. And instead of just thinking of it as an inhale, notice the full length of the inhale. Follow the breath in as it fills the lungs and expands the abdomen, maybe even lifts the crown of the head and the whole body up tall. And then notice as the breath escapes how the body relaxes over our structural support. Just bringing awareness to the body, to the breath, which in yoga is life. What's more important than the breath? Continuing to focus, continuing to let everything else go. As we get deeper into our meditative state, we begin to notice the breath happening naturally as opposed to influencing or breathing ourselves. So relaxing the body even more and letting life happen as it is. If your mind wanders, gently bringing it back. It's our brain's job to think, but it's our job to decide what to think about. And that's the power of meditation. You have that power within you right now. Every time we bring our focus back to the breath, to the body, that's like a rep in the gym for our mind. We're training our mind in focus. We're training our mind in stillness, in peace, in presence. And so many times from that state comes love. From here, bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, or even giving yourself a little hug. Sending that love to yourself. Finding gratitude and appreciation for all of life's trials, tribulations, for your journey. Thanks so much for practicing with me, everyone. Until next time, namaste.